Welcome back, blade fans. This old sword is with you once again, and it's fixed blade day once more. And those that know me and watch my channel probably know it's no secret that I'm a big fan of Bastinelli knives. And he refers to his blades as tactical art. If you haven't been out to his website, I'll leave you a link, as well as a link to the blade we're going to review today. This was first made popular, I think, around 2014 or so with the movie Lucy. And that was where the character used double versions of this Raptor L. Actually, that was the Raptor back then, and it's the Raptor L now. There were a few modifications made, improvements and so forth over the years. And this is the latest and greatest Raptor L, made by Lion Steel for Bastinelli in Italy. Out of M390, the original was D2, so quite an improvement in blade steel. It also, as with most Bastinellis, is not an inexpensive blade, and for a fixed blade it is fairly expensive. It's $340. This was purchased from Knife Center. I have also received a number of my blades from White Mountain Knives. He wasn't in stock on this particular one and hasn't been carrying it, so I did end up at Knife Center. So we have this beautiful blade. Let's take it out and look at this. There's some very interesting things about this blade. When I say blade, I mean the entire fixed blade knife. The ergonomics are maybe at first a little odd looking, and it almost looks like it could be a kitchen knife. And kitchen knives, by the way, make some of the most formidable tactical and fighting knives, by the way. Probably more people are injured, attacked, whatnot, with a kitchen knife, a chef's knife, than almost any other knife because they're available. And unfortunately, the weapon of choice in many domestic disputes. Here we have finger choils all the way through, or really not all the way through. First index finger and the middle finger, and we have a swoop here, swale, for the remaining two fingers. Lots of ways to hold this knife. It works extremely well in a diagonal saber grip. Saber grip being kind of a diagonal across the palm. Hammer grip being more of this positioning. We've got some beautiful jimping here, and we've even got, as with most Bastinelli fixed blades, we have some interesting jimping right up here. So if you are holding it this way for fine work, you can do that as well. This finger choil here, really not choil, finger groove. I've been criticized in the past for calling that a choil when the choil's up here. So choil is usually ahead of the guard. There's no guard on this knife except that it is built in. And Bastien Coves, the owner and creator behind Bastinelli Knives, took a lot of his early tutelage from Fred Perrin, very well-known French knife designer and trainer of military, combat, tactical folks, with being in the military himself, having served in a number of different departments. I'm being vague because I don't know, in France. The ergos on this, if you could only hold it in your hand, are absolutely amazing for a lighter weight fixed blade knife of rather thin proportions. You have plenty to hold in the hand. There are more hand-filling blades, but this one just, it feels like you've grabbed a piece of clay and squeezed it, and it's conformed to your hand. We have a skull crusher glass breaker pommel We are radiused, crowned all the way through the tang. The tang stands proud of the handles, and we have some radiusing here near the area of the jimping and all the way out. So that's part of what's costing a little extra, are those refinements. And of course the steel being a premium steel. All right, so we're going to gab some more about it in a few, but for right now, let's not upstage it with anything over there in the wings. Let's take some measurements. We have an overall length of 10.5 inches. We have a blade length of 5 5/8, a little over half an inch to the handle. I have a cutting edge, we'll call it 5.5 inches. So when you see the measurements being called 5.5 inches, that's where that's coming from. It's likely the cutting edge, with the actual blade being slightly longer. We've got millimeters, so blade stock is 4 millimeters, or 0.15. And we've got a handle thickness, quite slim for the fixed blade knife, of 0.54. A little thicker than I thought it would be. And we have a weight of 6.13 ounces. So for a medium to large size fixed blade, that certainly is not bad. It is very lively in the hand, believe me. If you know tactical knives, and fixed blades are no exception, you really do not want something that forces you into using the blade in a certain way. The balance, let's see where the balance is. Can I balance this knife? Let's use two hands to help. Interesting. Yeah, it's right there. Pretty much on that first, call that a screw. Interestingly, you're going to need a special spanner to remove these, and I don't know if Bastinelli provides that or not. He likely could. There's a lanyard hole, which I may not have mentioned before. And the overall profile of the blade is spear point, I would say, drop point, spear point, with about a 25% swedge at the top and a full flat grind here on the edge. Now, I do not often do paper cut tests in front of the camera because sometimes they don't come off the way I want them to. Here's what I wanted to mention, and I entirely skipped it. I probably would have gone through the whole video and skipped it, but let me show you something. This is a convex edge, very unusual even for any of Bastinelli's other blades, and it comes to a 0-degree grind. That is very much like what you would see on, for instance, a katana, a Japanese sword, and perhaps a number of other historic blades. But there is no secondary bevel there. It all just goes right down to the edge. And so you might ask, how the heck am I going to sharpen it? You do need some special sharpening techniques. Should this go dull, and it might have a hard time doing so as a tactical knife, because it could be used for, utility tasks. So if it gets dull, I think the first step I would take is to strop it. And the 0-degree grinds do take well to stropping. Otherwise, look up how to sharpen a katana, and you might find out how to sharpen this one. But take a look at this. This is a laser. I seldom get knives that speak to me that way in terms of the edge, and this one really, really does. It is amazing. So should you have the opportunity to get your hands on one of these, check that out, how freaking sharp that M390 is. Now here's another Bastinelli that sort of takes after the Raptor. This is the red V2, and you notice a lot of similarity in the handle. It's a much shorter knife. It's a 4-inch blade. So one might think of this as kind of a shorter version of the Raptor. See the handle, a little bit different with the lanyard positioning and so forth, and it has kind of a Tonto profile to it. Still has the swedge, maybe a slightly less swedge percentage than on the Raptor. But that is the Bastinelli Red V2. Here is a quite well-known EDC defensive type knife. This is the Street Beat by Spyderco, designed by Fred Perrin, by the way. So we're going even smaller there. And let me take out a custom that I did a review on recently from Kell Knives, designed by Tim Kell. This is going to be more of a field knife and combat knife, but let's see if we remove these others for the moment. You can see that it's kind of in the ballpark. It's going to be slightly longer, very slightly longer than the Raptor L. And if we can, I would say it's slightly longer blade. And is the handle longer? Not really, about the same. So 6-inch on this one, 5.5 inches roughly on that one. A little over 5.5. So pretty much in the ballpark, but thicker stock here, heavier knife. And this is 1095 with his famous nickel boron finish. Excellent, excellent knife if you're looking for something that will serve field duty, combat duty, what have you. Indestructible knives from Mr. Tim Kell. And shout out to Tim. One last comparison, if we can, would be just a common folder, Griptilian, for size comparison. Almost the same size handle. Certainly about a 3 to 3.5 inch shorter blade, maybe a 3-inch shorter blade. If I do my math, I could tell you exactly how much shorter it is, but I'm not good at math. There is the Rat 1 from Ontario. Again, you can see you got a handle about the same size, and you have a much shorter blade. Really apples and oranges there. So a lightweight, tactical, and I use that word freely, and you may wonder what tactical means to me. What tactical means to me is basically, this is a fighting / self-defense sort of a knife. If you were going to carry something in either on your belt, oh, by the way, it did come with a tech lock, so I don't have anything out here with a tech lock, but you know what a tech lock is. They did box it with a tech lock, so you've got that. The sheath I've been showing you is Kydex. Bastinelli tends to go with a little thinner grade of Kydex. Here's a comparison for you real quick. If we take the combined thickness is 0.11 out at the end of this one. If we go to the Kell knife here, and this is the Mercenary, if I didn't mention that. And if we grab it out here, we've got like 0.18. Let's see if I really can be honest with it. It's more like a 0.15 right there. Yeah. So a little bit thicker on his Kydex. Then again, you know, you want to stay light. And this thinner Kydex is still rigid, still does the job. What you never want to have happen is have so much Kydex out here that it bends and the point goes through, and which could happen in a fall. But as a concealable blade, either scout carry here with a tech lock or hanging from a shoulder holster, this thumbs off extremely well, by the way, and that's set up to do that. It's kind of a rectangular shape to the Kydex rather than conformed to the blade. So you've got lots of extra here, you've got lots of grommets, lots of ways to set this up. Bastien sells a shoulder rig that is well suited to any knife that holds itself firmly in its Kydex sheath. And this would certainly be included with that. So I know a lot of my viewers out there are folder guys, but it's an interesting proposition here for a fixed blade if you're serious about your defensive knife use. Okay? So don't forget to give it a like if you would, and subscribe. Click that subscribe button in the lower right now, and it'll bring you there. Take care. We'll see you soon.